Hello again, welcome to another video on one of the GCSE Geography 6-mark questions, which is to describe one effort to reduce the problem of food insecurity in a local area that you've studied. So this is just a kind of a novice version of the question. It can come up in a variety of forms in terms of the wording. You can have maybe describe how one local area that you've studied has attempted to achieve food security on a local on that scale. You might see the word scale being a wording of the question, but we always need to know that if it mentions this word local, that we're looking at a small area. We're not looking at Canada Wheat because it's from the food security, from the resource reliance section of our topics. And we are not looking at Canada Wheat because it's a regional/national scale project. So the project that we're looking at here is local scale. I'm going to start off by saying that we're going to be looking at Babati, if that's how we pronounce it, in Tanzania, which is obviously we're not going to confuse this with Zambia. We're looking at the resource reliance topic rather than the dynamic development topic, but we can bring in aspects of how it's going to help the area develop. So there is going to be some kind of tier 3 linking of other topics in some cases. Okay, so mostly what we're doing here is we're looking at AO1 and AO2 skills, which is going to be mostly giving data, description, and kind of not necessarily explaining, but the fact that we have this word effort here suggests that there's going to be an element of explanation of how food security was to be achieved by this project. So tier 3 linking of topics, there's going to be stuff like dynamic development coming in here. Okay, so I'm going to start off and say that we can have a peel structure because of that element of linking that there's going to be. I'm going to set up the structure for you, 2 separate paragraphs as a suggestion for you, as well as maybe an introduction to the project. Well, my data, rather than using the dates of when the project started and the fact that it was run by FarmAid, which is a UK-based organization, these are all things that you can, Farm Africa, these are all things that you can refer to in your little introduction to the answer. The fact that it's a UK-based charity, the fact that it was started from 1999, led all the way into 2005-2006. We're going to focus more on the elements of how food security was actually to be achieved. So our point is going to start off with the fact that they used a resource of goats, and later on we're going to talk a little bit about what those goats in particular and how they were used, what came from them, etc. So resources of goats which allowed to allow, not which allowed, because that would be kind of an element of evaluation, but to allow food security to be improved, to allow for people to become more kind of independent and in the area in this African country, to learn how to care for their animals and then to be able to put money back into their farm. So the resources of goats were to allow for an improvement to food security over time. Now, if you don't link in the concept of food security by the end of this paragraph, we're going to be struggling to get into the AO2, and we're going to be struggling to get into a level 3, 5 to 6 marks. That's what we want to make sure that we can aim to achieve. So our evidence here is going to be the fact that the goats were called Toggenburg goats. Please check spellings for me, because you know I'm terrible at it, but Toggenburg goats. Now these goats cost about £400 each, and they totaled up about 200,000 worth of goats. You could almost consider them as a live infrastructure, if you want to call them live infrastructure, or livestock, whatever you want to say. But they're like a form of infrastructure here, because they're going to allow us to build a kind of food security right? We're going to try and reduce this concept of food insecurity. We're going to explain this, and we're going to say that as a result of these 400-pound Toggenburg goats, which had to be paid back, they allowed for, I think it was 3 litres a day. More data, actually. There's not a lot of space to fill that in above. As a result, we see that this was brought in to do what? And you're going to say that it was brought in to reduce food insecurity, to make sure that people had access to 3 litres of milk per day, maybe get other products out of it, to teach them how to take care of their goats, food on the table for their families. So again, we're saying what it wanted to achieve, what the effort was. We don't need to evaluate, we just need to explain why this is important. Okay, and again, I'm very, very quickly going to go through some talking points here. Talking points you could have here would be the spending of money that would become, or was expected to be. I'll change that to was expected to be on improving food security locally. Again, always trying to tie in this word locally. Local farmers, local families, local communities. So that we make sure that we meet our aspect of the question where it says local area, Bavatti, farmers in Bavatti, you're going to be able to spend more money. This was one of the aims of the project, that they would be able to spend more money on this. This was evident in their spending of around, I think it was 12% on food bills. Certain year, you want to have to look up that data in your textbook. Indicates that the project had a strong backing, had a strong was attempting to improve access to food for all in the local area. And finally, linking it back to the question, therefore, Goat Aid was attempting to reduce this problem of food insecurity, to achieve food security. However you're going to structure that sentence, I want you to finish it for me. Again, this is all just to give you a structure of how to put this information into paragraphs. Give the answer your best shot. If you want to show it to me, if you want to send it on to me at some point, let me know on Google Classroom. Okay, good luck with it.